Well, here we are for Power Chat again. I believe I'm on live where all systems go. Welcome to Power Chat. I'm Diane Demetre. We meet here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. to talk about uplifting, inspiring, empowering information to help you through your week. If you're here with me, jump in and say hello, just so I know that I'm here. Hi Tracy, thank you very much for joining me. I know I'm live now. So it's been wonderful having you here for the last 6 weeks, and for those of you who are joining me new tonight, welcome. We're probably going to, rattle the cage a little bit for you. We're going to challenge your conditioned thinking. We're going to get you to ignore your past limitations, to engage, to empower, and to energize yourself as much as you can. For those of us watching, if you would like to share this live session, please just click the share button below me in the video, and that'll share it out onto your timelines. So welcome everybody. We have Mike. Hi Mike, great to have you here. Robin's here, that's terrific. And I know we'll have a few people who will be joining us as we go. Everybody's busy at the moment, so thank you for giving me your valuable time. Okay, let's just jump straight in because I've got a few things I want to share with you tonight. As I've said before, if you've got questions, please put them in the comments. I will come back to them at the end. Once I get into the flow of consciousness, I like to stay there if I can. Good evening, Kimya and Mina. Thank you, Mina, for that great testimonial today. That was really terrific. Thank you. Thanks for joining us, Kimya. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to layer on top of what we've been talking about over these last few weeks. So if this is a little new for you, just let it flow over you. You don't have to understand everything. You see, we all tend to like to understand rather than just going with the flow a bit. So just let it wash over you. Don't have any judgments. Just go with the flow a bit. Hi, Amy. Lovely having you here. So tonight we are going to be looking at the difference between our state of mind and our state of being. And what I'm going to do, as normal, I'm going to go in from the scientific viewpoint beforehand, and we're going to look at these two aspects of ourselves from that point of view, and look at the differences and understand how you have actually shaped your personality and your identity. So let's begin with the real science from the very beginning, and that is our state of mind. And let's travel back millions of years to the ancient DNA that actually still courses through our bodies. And that DNA can be traced back to when dinosaurs roamed the earth and we weren't the top predator on the food chain. And an almond-shaped mass, grain mass of matter called the amygdala, you've probably heard that word before, developed inside each cerebral hemisphere in our brain. And its key role in the limbic system has been linked to processing fear and emotions. And of course, that was really necessary during our prehistoric times for us to stay alive. The fear response was, oh, quick, watch out, something's going to eat you, literally. And so we developed what we now know as our fright, flight, or freeze, or fight response. So when we come up against fear, we can either fight it and try to dominate what's going on, we can run away, or we can freeze. I'm sure you've had all of those experiences in your life, even if your freeze was just in a dream where we freeze. So that's what the amygdala's job was to process our fear and process our emotions. Now, in today's world, we actually suffer from our amygdala hijack. Okay, we're hijacked by our amygdala, where our fear response is way out of proportion with the actual stimulus, because it's triggered a much more significant emotional threat than what actually exists. We've only got to look at what's going on the planet at the moment with the coronavirus to understand amygdala hijack. Okay, people are being hijacked everywhere by this overreaction. I liken it to a truck reversing. Think of it this way. It's a lovely, simple analogy you can use every day. If a truck is backing up, we now have beeping on trucks. Didn't used to be, but the truck will beep, 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 beep. And that is a warning to you that, oh, watch out. There's something going on that you may have to pay attention to. So it's a pay attention to sign. It's not a warning Will Robinson sign. It's just pay attention. And that's what the amygdala is supposed to do for us. That is the extent of how that works. Okay? But what we do is we get so involved and so overreactive. We wouldn't run away from a truck backing up, screaming and shouting and going into depths of emotional sabotage. We would just step back and we would watch and we would be more aware. Now, this, you will have heard me over the last few weeks talking about the ego. Do you notice that I say the ego, not my ego or your ego? Whatever you do, don't personalize it. So the ego is a bag of limiting beliefs. That's all it is. It's a bag of limiting beliefs. And this attaches, as it were, metaphorically, to the amygdala response, to the amygdala hijack. Okay, so the ego is a bag of limiting beliefs that we've accepted as being true in our formative years. It's that simple, folks. Don't give it any more kudos or power than that. A bag of limiting beliefs that we've accepted as true during our formative years. As Aristotle said, give me a child until the age of 7 and I will show you the man. I don't know if any of you have been watching over all these years, but there was a great show, and still is a great show on TV called 7 Up, which follows children from the age of 7, and they're now going into their 63rd year this year. And so it's been going that long. And that's so true. Show me a child till the age of 7 and I'll show you the man. Because we've basically soaked up all of these limiting beliefs, all of these misperceptions, everything by that age, and we're grounding them in by then. We are making them real. And so that's what the ego is. It's a bag of limiting beliefs. And if we carry that bag around with us forever and a day, we're never going to live a better life. So when we give, and this is all part of our state of mind, so when we give our attention to these beliefs, we function from a limited human perspective. And it's a state of mind of a hijacked amygdala where our emotions, fears, and thoughts run amok. So you could be looking at people even now as I'm speaking and going, they've been hijacked, they've been hijacked, they've been hijacked. Or you might think you've been hijacked too. Now, when we actually pay attention to the ego, believing what it tells us, we start to function using it, that bag of limiting beliefs, as our frame of reference in our world. And so we react rather than respond. We run away screaming from the truck backing up, and rather than being more conscious of the truck's movement. So what are your bag of limiting beliefs? Is it that you say that you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, you're not rich enough, that money slips through your fingers, and that there just isn't enough to go around? Each of us has our own bag of limiting beliefs. And if we do not shift our perspective, we will keep functioning from that bag of limiting beliefs, from the ego. And of course, we will attract evidence into our reality to prove that that is true. And this is really the linchpin here, ladies and gentlemen, is looking at what's your bag of limiting beliefs, but most importantly, not paying them attention. Being conscious, yes, but not giving them your attention, not giving them your power. Because the only way to actually to sidestep the ego is to disregard it. You can't fight it. You can't fight it because the ego is illegitimate. Think of the ego, your bag of limiting beliefs, like a bad flatmate, right? Somebody you've got in that you've had in your flat, and that they're constantly bitching and moaning and complaining, and that they're constantly running you down and telling you you're not good enough, and all of those things. Okay, so imagine that. Eventually you will get sick of it and you'd say, take a hike, you're not welcome here anymore. And this is what we allow the ego to do. We allow the ego to be the worst flatmate in our lives, and to sit there as our state of mind telling us that we're just not good enough, no matter what it is. We don't have enough money, we're not beautiful enough, we're not healthy enough, we're not this, we're not that, we're not loving enough, and that, all of our relationships collapse, and what's wrong with me, what's wrong with me? And then we go into guilt and self-pity, and then we go into self-flagellation, and then we've got self-denial, and we go into apathy, and it's, there we go, amygdala hijack. Okay? And so this is all part of the human experience when you're coming from the ego. Okay? We mustn't be fooled by the ego, because what it wants to try and do is to tell us that whatever is going on around in the world, outside of us, our conditions and our circumstances, that requires all of our attention. It doesn't. It doesn't require our attention at all. What we need to be looking at is what's going on within. Because once the ego hooks us into looking at the external world and thinking that that world is real, we're caught. And we will never be able to disregard the ego. It will keep catching us all the time, all the time. I think I mentioned previously that with the ego will bring up all this stuff. People say to me, yes, but I have this limiting belief, and why do I do this, and why do I do that? And that's because it's a pattern. And every time it comes up, you just do it. You just do it because it's a habit. But you see, you could be like the fish that swims past the baited hook. And when the hook's put in front of you to belittle yourself, to run yourself down, to go, I'm not good enough, you could go, no. I don't have to take that hook anymore. I don't have to do that anymore. Why? Because you're conscious. You're more conscious that the ego is baiting you. And of course, we all have partners of some sort that bait us, don't we? Aren't they fabulous? They really push our buttons. And it's in those moments that we have our greatest breakthroughs, when we can go, no, I can do this a different way. So let's keep moving on. So if we are getting ourselves hooked by the ego, if we're allowing ourselves to be hooked by the ego, what we're doing is that we're in an active state of denying our being, okay? We're denying our being. Now I want to talk about what the state of being means. So we've got the state of mind with the ego, with the bag of limiting beliefs. We see how the amygdala hijack goes on in our bodies, and how we all tend to overreact because of all of these little pieces to that puzzle. Okay, so that's how that works. That's all our state of mind. Our state of mind is about our mind and how that builds up our emotions, or releases or triggers the emotions, and of course our thoughts. Now let's go to the other side, because all of that is part of our identity and part of our personality at this time. That's who we are at this time. Or more rightly, that's who we've been conditioned to believe we are. That's who we think we are. But what if we're actually more than? Not more than somebody else, but more than who we are currently demonstrating. And that's what I'd like you to consider tonight. In fact, I'm going to dare you to consider that you are more than what you're currently demonstrating. So let's move to the other side, to our state of being. If you've been with me over these last classes, you will have already heard me say many times that everything is energy, as Einstein said. Everything is energy, and that we too are that energy with a discernible presence. So this is my discernible presence of Diane, and you all have your own discernible presence. Okay, so we know that to be true. That's a scientific fact, guys. We all know that, that's it. Energy is the basic unit of the universe. So we don't really need to quibble about that. So everything is energy. Obviously, we too are that energy, and we have a discernible presence. We know that the law of attraction is a law of physics. Okay, it's not some woo-woo idea and it's like, woo, no. It's a physical law of the universe. Okay, so that's important. Keep integrating that because it's not left field. It's a law of the universe. Like energy attracts like. Okay, and that we manifest our reality and our results by our vibrational resonance. I know this is tough for some people because they want to go into the whole issue of, yes, but what about innocent babies and what about this and what about that? I'm not going to get into that now. That's a whole different ballgame. That's going deeper and deeper and deeper. Let's just stay with the physical law of the universe, like attracts like, and that we manifest our reality and our results by our vibrational resonance. So we know that if we want a better reality, if we want a better life, we must match the frequency of the life or that desired reality and resonate to its vibrational resonance. Okay, we know that. So if we want to live this fabulous life, we have to have this fabulous energy that matches it, because like attracts like. It's all very straightforward and it's all very simple in scientific terms. So why don't we? Obviously, because of our hijacked state of mind, because of our limited human perspective, and because of the ego. All of those things conspire against us, as it were, to actually be all we can be. Okay? So we get caught in these old neural loops that we've learned, and we get caught in the old emotional patterns that this is the way we've always reacted to this situation, and we keep enacting the ego's frame of reference. That's what we do. And so we need to break those patterns. So the first thing is self-responsibility. We covered this in another session. Okay, so we talked about self-responsibility. Until we actually integrate that we truly are self-responsible, it's not going to work. A lot of people talk about, oh, you have to become responsible. No, you already are. That's the difference I talk about. You are already creating your own reality. You are already resonating at it. So therefore, you are already responsible. You are already responsible for your reality. It's not happening to you as a random event. It's happening to you because you're already responsible for it. So you need to actually consider your self-responsibility and actually integrate it, take it on board and own it and look at it and look at yourself. Step number 1, that was episode 3. The second step is that you have to start taking new decisions and incremental actions. New decisions, incremental actions in the present moment to be more. If you want an improved life, if you want a better reality, you have to improve yourself. Okay, you have to look at who you are and you have to say, that could do with a little bit of improvement there. And it's really that simple. But you see, we're starting to live more and more in a world where entitlement is becoming so strong that people don't want to they don't want to take responsibility for their lives. So we have to understand, not just be self-responsible, but understand that we're already responsible. We have to make new decisions about who we want to be, firstly, and then we have to take incremental action and steps towards that new you. 3 things, very simple. And we do this through a conscious awareness of our state of being. Okay, I'm not an advocate necessarily for going in and digging up all the past, because you can stay in that dumpster for decades if you want. Okay, I like the idea of a quantum shift. I like the idea that we are so powerful that we can make change in an instant. We've all done it. We've all done it. When we make committed, congruent decisions, we change. It just changes. It doesn't take time, it just changes. And we talked about decisions in the second episode. So, a conscious awareness of our state of being within. Some people call that their higher self. Other people call it their inner self, their inner being. Some people call it their intuition. Other people refer to it as consciousness. I tend to like consciousness. Other people can refer to it as the God within. It doesn't matter. It's only semantics. Please choose one. Whatever turns you on, okay? It doesn't matter. But there is something more to us that resides within us, okay? And that's our state of being. Now, that part of us, that state of being, that being, is that part of us that is unencumbered by the ego. Unencumbered by the ego. Being is all about movement. It's about expansion. It's about momentum. It's about manifesting. That's being. And ego, if you think about it, is all about resistance, about blocking the movement, about putting up defenses. Lots of defenses going up at the moment, putting up defenses. That's the ego. And so it's really important for you to consider you as being. When we're in our natural state of being, it's got nothing to do with our state of mind. In our natural state of being, which is the expression of creative consciousness, some people would call it our eternality of energy. Other people would call it the invincibility of the human spirit. Lovely phrase, I like that one. Whatever it is, you are in the zone. And I'm sure you know how that feels. You see, being is about feeling. Being is about experience. And that's what being is about. Being in the zone where you know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and it just works like magic. That's what being is about. Being is not a noun. If you were going to use it as saying, I'm a human being, normally being is a noun. But imagine if you shift the last word to a verb, to an action word, to a doing word, and say, I am a human being. Now that's powerful. And when we make that shift in our identity, when we shift from a state of mind in a limited human perspective in the ego, and we just dare to consider that we are more than what we're demonstrating, that we're actually a human being, that's when our whole reality will start to shift, because we resonate at a different energy, at a different vibration, because we realize we are no longer a victim of circumstance, that in fact we are the master of our destiny, except we didn't realize it, that we always have been. But as soon as we become conscious and we're in the flow and the movement of that creative energy, we start to feel peace. We experience peace and joy and passion and optimism and hope. And so this is what our state of being is. Now, let's go one step further. The ego and the state of mind that it induces has no power or legitimacy of its own. So it has none of its own. Why? Because everything is energy, and it too is energy. Let me explain it to you this way. Do you know those fabulous balloons you can buy for parties? You know, they're really big balloons, and then they can have all little balloons inside of them. Okay? So I want you to think of the big balloon okay, is got all these little balloons floating in it. Now, what's in the balloons? It's air. It's the same air. It's the same energy. But whilst it's configured like that, they all look separate to each other. But if you were able to prick the balloons, the little ones on the inside, you're only left with the one big balloon. That's it. It's all the same energy. It's all the same air. And that's who you are. The ego isn't separate to you. The ego is part of the energy that you are. It's just that the ego and its limiting beliefs will forever play the trick of separateness and duality, and saying that there's something wrong or something bad here, or that person's bad, or there's evil in the world and there's things out there to get us. No. That is just a trick of the ego to keep us caught in a limited human perspective on separateness. We are all one. And so the most important thing is to disregard and keep moving forward, keep the momentum going forward that I am one. I am one. I am one energy. I am one consciousness. I am one intuition, whatever the word is for you, but you are one. I am one. And once we start looking at that and looking at humanity as one, as our family as one, not separate entities, we can actually increase the momentum of change, transformation, because at the end of the day, if you want a better life, it's going to start with you. It's about your transformation firstly. So it's really important, even though I speak about the ego and you'll hear other people using different terms, or perhaps that term, never empower the ego by thinking that it has some control over you, because it's totally illegitimate. It's a liar. It's a bad flatmate. That's all it is. It's a bag of limiting beliefs, and they're not real. What's real is your being, your human being as a verb. That's what's real. That's who you are. And your current identity, which has got certain blocks and fences and all of those things put up against it, isn't legitimate. In fact, if we believed enough, we could totally let go of all that baggage in the blink of an eye. We can do that. It's just that we don't do it, and we've not seen necessarily anybody else do it. And that's why I'm sitting here telling you it can be done, okay? And sure, each day some things are going to work and some things aren't, but that's okay. Don't fall back into the ego and start feeling guilty and go, well, why aren't I good enough? And why can't I do it? Bingo, caught, let it go. Let it go. Love that. Keeps coming up from Frozen. Great song all the time. So remember that the concept of separateness and duality is only the ego playing tricks on us. And do you see what's happening in the world at the moment? The divisiveness that's going on in the world at the moment? I mean, even in Australia, in our own country, we've now got premiers wanting to say that people from this state can't come to here. The division is unbelievable. All ego, ego, ego. Where is unity? Where is humanity? Where is compassion and kindness and a willingness to move forward, a willingness to expand, a willingness to be more, to actually be leaders in the world? That's what we need more of at the moment. And for you individually, you can be that person in your home. So I'm going to give you a quick exercise, then I'm going to have a look about at some questions here. So what I'm encouraging you to do is to do a shift of identity exercise. Okay, so number one, get a piece of paper and write down all the beliefs you can think of, limiting and empowering. I never think I've got enough money. I don't have enough money. I'm always sick. Why don't things work out for me? How come that person gets the job and I don't? Why is my business failing? Whatever it is, Write it all down. Do not judge it. Just get it all down. And fill the page with all the things that come into your mind. Everything. Don't judge what you're writing down. And then also write down, how would you describe yourself? How would you introduce yourself to somebody? Who are you? Who do you think you are? And then also at the very end, write down your reputation. That's what other people think of you. That's always interesting. If 20 people were standing around together in the pub, not that they can at the moment, but if they were, and you weren't there, how would they be talking about you? What would they be saying about you? That's your reputation. Then, second part of the exercise, I'm now going to dare you to be more. Okay, more than you could ever imagine. I want you to write down who you want to be. I want you to write down all the empowering beliefs you want to embody. All of them, as many as you can. Forget about the limiting ones, write down and describe your new identity. Who are you? Who are you? How are you going to describe the new you? And then I want you to dive deeper than before and go deep, deep, deep into an energetic level. What are you resonating at? What are the feelings that you feel every day? What are you giving out energetically to the world? Write that all down on the next page. Who are you being as a verb? Because that's who you really are, and more than that. And then step 3, once you've done that little exercise, I want you to write 3 things, list 3 actions that you can take immediately to start being that new identity, to start living from that new state of being. Don't just write the 2 lists, because that's just ink on paper. Okay, you actually have to put some energy behind it, take some action, put that behind it. And then what happens is that day by day, you can start taking little actions, little steps to actually demonstrate how much more you are as a human being. And that's how you change your world. That's how you change your life. Day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, and in a matter of no time, really, in a couple of years, if you stick at it, you can be a brand new human being with a brand new life. But it's up to you. It's up to each of us, because we have to be a new you to have a new world, to have a new life. I remember hearing recently that Tony Robbins interviewed Warren Buffett many years ago for Tony's book called Money. And he said to Warren Buffett, if you don't know who Warren Buffett is, he's one of the wealthiest men and greatest investors in the world. And Tony said, so what's the best investment you've made? And Warren Buffett said, the best investment I've made is in my personal development. Just about sums it up, doesn't it? And that's where we have to start, ladies and gentlemen. We have to start within. We have to invest in ourselves. We have to realize that we are worth changing. We are worth investing in. We are worth everything. And elevate our value by paying attention to ourselves and moving forward, expanding, always moving forward, always expanding and manifesting that which we want. So that's the difference between a state of mind, a hijacked amygdala, the ego, and our limited human perspective, and our state of being where we actually dare to be more, where we live our lives from a conscious awareness and we take responsibility every day for ourselves, for our growth, for our expansion. So I'll go to my comments now. If anybody's got any questions, please jump in. That'd be great. I love that. Oh, Sally knew the series 7 Up. Yes, it's a great series. The last time it was on SBS, I believe. I don't know if they're going to do one this year, because it is this year, because it happens every 7 years for me, exactly. Okay, Tracy was saying, make a decision to be responsible for how we respond in the world. Yes, absolutely. And of course, it's been mentioned before, and I'll mention it again. Whilst all this fear-mongering is going on, switch it off, ladies and gentlemen. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. It will only feed your ego, okay? It'll only feed the ego. And the ego go, great, 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 great. Now I'll make you feel upset. Now I'll make you feel tense and anxious and all of these things. Switch it off. You don't need to know. You'll find out. You don't need to know. More comedies, everybody, more comedies. Yes, Laura really dislikes, she hates the word entitlement. Absolutely, Laura. Yes, there we go. People who feel they're entitled have no appreciation. Have you ever noticed that? They've got no appreciation for anything. They think somebody else owes them. And I often say, how much money does another person have to make for you to get what you want? Like, oh, dear me. No responsibility. Entitlement is the opposite to self-responsibility. Yes, Tracy said putting up defenses. Yeah, well, there's a big fence now in America as well. Robin, thanks, Di. Excellent. Does anybody have any questions on beliefs or on anything like that? If not, that's all good. That means I've explained it really well, which is terrific. To finish, I can't get my head around this lockdown. I know, it's hard. Amy, you put the ego into a really good perspective and easy to understand as the bad flatmate. Yeah, absolutely. Bad flatmate. There's the door. There's the door. No point fighting. Just there's the door. You can leave now. Not listening, not taking the hook, moving on. So, and it is tough, Laura, getting your head around the lockdown, because unfortunately what happens is that we are finding ourselves in a position of what appears to be that we have no control over, particularly the ridiculousness of lockdowns and that there's no supporting evidence and so on and so forth. But we do have an opportunity to actually look at how can I change myself in order for this not to adversely affect me. That's what it comes to. And that's the wonderful opportunity everybody on the planet currently has. And not everybody is aware of that. They want to bitch and whinge and moan and complain. But that's really what it comes down to. We have an opportunity at the moment to change, to transform ourselves. And since we are the master of us, we have that power to do that. So don't waste your time looking at the things that you can't change, and look at the things you can change, and that is you, personally, you, how you respond, because this is the springboard into the next 20 years. We need to actually build character, more courage, more faith, more love, more trust in ourselves, We must be brave moving forward. And we must know that we have all the power we need within ourselves to continue moving forward, or we will just become part of the debris and collateral damage on the way. So, internal radio doom and gloom. Yes, Sally, you can listen to the program, say okay, then change the channel. Yes, or not listen at all. Don't listen, just go, oh, don't like that. Switch that channel off. It's not good. It's like crackly. Oh, no good. All right, so thank you very much, everybody, for joining me. Just remember that if you found this helpful, please share it with your friends. You can share the video on your timeline whenever you want. Also, there are some links below the video where you can actually read more, which is my book, Master Mindset. I actually wrote this book for this time, the coronavirus, and how coronavirus basically can be a deliverer or a disaster. So if you're interested, the link is below. If you want to find out more about my courses, you can hit the link to my website. And if you'd like to find out and do your own free mindset mastery assessment, there's a link there for that as well. If you know anybody who would benefit from these sessions each week, please invite them. Please share my Power Chat posts and let them know that it's on, to give them some encouragement and inspiration. And you know, at this point in time, we have each other. We need to raise each other up with love and with power and with a master mindset, live a life that matters, and to you know, move forward, but with more success and love and faith and health, wealth and happiness. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining me. It's always a pleasure. Love having your company, love doing this, and I will see you next week. Thanks very much, everybody. Bye.